Last minute shakeup at 5:30 a.m., laundry situation not good. And when your focus is on helping your clients, it's easy to forget about yourself. But NASM knows trainers.
Morning, Ryan. It's okay.
And staying in front of the day isn't always as
Thanks,
simple
Ryan.
as 1, 2, 3. So when the unexpected has you pressing pause,
What's the latest on creatine?
I'm going to get back to you on that.
let NASM1 help you press play. Visit NASM.org to sign up for a membership today.
You're listening to the NASM-CPT Podcast with Richey, winner of the Share Care Emmy Award for Social Storytelling and the official podcast of the National Academy of Sports Medicine.
Hey, y'all, and welcome to the 500th episode of the NASM-CPT Podcast. Are you kidding me? 500 episodes? I'm shocked. I am shocked. And today is what we're going to officially start looking at the 500th episode, and I want to talk about it. I want to emote. I'm all up in my feels, and I want to share it with you. Because the first episode of this show, it was launched in August 1st, 2019. August 1st, 2019. And so with the first episode of the NASM podcast, CPT podcast, August 1st, 2019, we're 500 episodes in, and we launched, a few months before the COVID-19 pandemic started in early 2022. Obviously, COVID-19, it started in 2019, but it was 2022 that it ravaged societies. And here's the thing. I don't know if you know this. I don't know how many of you know this, but this is not my first go at podcasting. My first podcast was called the Omnia Fitness Podcast with Rick and Drogo, powered by Everlast. Yeah, that's right. Everlast, the boxing company. And we had a close relationship. So it was me and my co-host, Aaron Drogozeski, who has also formerly worked for NASM as an educator. And Everlast has fitness equipment. They have a fitness line, and they wanted a podcast that went along with the fitness component of what they did. And I don't know, we were shoo-ins. We had a relationship with them already through Aaron, and who was a proficient boxer. And then I had some experience in kickboxing. And so it was nice that both of us had our niche in the fitness industry with a combat sports background. And so we did our first episode of the Omnia Fitness Podcast on June 2018, June 6, 2018. The last episode was September 23rd, 2019. So it's interesting because there was some crossover. We did 63 episodes of the Omnia Fitness Podcast. And as that show was winding down, I reached out to a guy named Mike Fantagrassi of NASM, and I told him I planned on doing another podcast, and I'd love to partner with NASM. And if not, that's cool. I'd do a solo venture. I would go out and do my own solo show. And so then he connected me with a feller by the name of Greg Esposito, who was our media guy at NASM at the time. And he loved the idea. And he told me to do a trial version. And he loved that. And he told me to record 5 more episodes after I recorded the first 5. The first episode, he said, let's do 5 more. We'll upload a single episode. And then we're off to the races. So I even went around and decided, I found that email that I had written to Greg and Mike, and it was February 3rd, 2019. Gentlemen, I apologize for the delay. Attached is an outline and a sample of what the podcast may look like, all things pertinent to being a CPT. And then I attached basically a pitch for the show. And I'm going to read that pitch of the show that I sent to NASM after this. This episode of the NASM-CPT Podcast is brought to you by NASM One, the membership for trainers and coaches. Members enjoy unlimited access to hundreds of career resources. Get the Edge app to schedule and program clients. Enjoy half off all certifications and specializations, access to free CEUs, and more. All of this for just $35 a month. Are you kidding me? Go to nasm.org/membership to learn more about NASM One. So here's the pitch. I sent this as a Word document I found from years ago. I just downloaded it. So this is the second time me reading through it. I read through it and I was like, wow, I can't believe I wrote this. So it says this: the CPT Podcast with Rick Richey and NASM. Later updated the name, but that was my initial pitch. It said, this podcast is designed for the community of certified personal trainers, CPTs, to help them better understand the current scientific support and best practices as a fitness professional. This platform will deliver approximately 30-minute lessons on exercise science, principles, and business that new and veteran CPTs can use as a resource. The goal is to provide evidence-based material along with stories and examples that listeners will find enjoyable and informative. Objectives: share the science needed to understand human movement science, human exercise physiology, anatomy lessons, exercise selection and programming, HIIT, sprint training, weight loss and exercise, core, balance, plyo, speed, agility and quickness, resistance training, cardiorespiratory assessment, functional threshold power, VO2 max heart rate variability. Provide business insights for CPTs, such as becoming an independent personal trainer, when to open your own business, how to procure funding, finding holes in the market to fill, behavior change and support for personal training clients, attributional retraining, self-determination, trans-theoretical model of change, the OPT model, rationale behind progression and programming, stabilization, strength, and power. What education is out there for CPTs? Pre- and postnatal, pathologies, higher education, science topics that need to be understood, inflammation, pathologies, altitude training. Allow listeners to make suggestions on topics for sample podcasts. Here's a sample podcast outline. Episode 1, introducing the host and the podcast, Rick and how he became a CPT, why this podcast is needed, science-based, enjoyable delivery, inspiration to do and learn your best every week, to discuss the format of programming, a shallow dive into becoming a CPT, allow listeners to ask questions via email for the following week's topic, next week's topic, anatomy, names, and where they come from. And that was just my kind of dive in. That's what I offered out to those guys at NASM. And, I got a follow-up message from Greg Esposito, who later and soon after this interaction became my first producer for the NASM CPT podcast. He was really behind me in a very, very big way. And I am grateful for everything that he did to get the ball rolling on this. And there were several other topics that came up. Anatomy names, episode 3, core training episode, and just kind of kept going on for options of what it might look like. And it turned out to be true. So I went back to the very beginning of the podcast, and then right here, I have a photo, a screenshot that I took, August 1st, 2019, introducing the OPT model. And that was a decent episode with me and all of my ums and ahs and audible pauses and my nervousness and excitement all kind of rolled up into one. The next episode, general adaptation syndrome and said principle. The next episode, it was August 15th, how to remember names of muscles. The next episode, August 22nd, bones. The next one, core training overview. And it went on and on and on. And it's gone on for 500 episodes now. And this is huge because it's been just shy of 6 years that I've been doing this. It's right now, it's the beginning of, where are we? April, almost the end of April in 2025. And so we ain't that far away from August. So that would be 6 years of doing the NASM CPT podcast. And I'm grateful. I'm very grateful to the people who were behind this. I'm grateful to Mike Fantagrassi, who introduced me to Greg Esposito. And then Greg passed the reins off to my current producer for the past few years, the man behind the scene that y'all never meet. You never really get to talk to, but his name is Eric Sorensen. And Eric has been the glue that has kept this together since Greg went on to other ventures. And so, well, listen, I know Eric's listening because he's backstage right now. So, Eric, thank you. Thank you for all you've done over the past few years that you've been at the helm. So I greatly appreciate you. And I want to also say that this show, the NASM CPT podcast, is monumental for NASM because we were the first podcast that NASM launched. And so I was grateful to be the person that did that. But I want to give a shout out to the shows that have followed that are currently part of the NASM Podcast Network. These are the ones that follow, and they include the Master Instructor Roundtable with Marty Miller and Wendy Batts, Strong Body, Strong Mind with Angie Miller, Random Fit with Ken Miller and Wendy Batts. I know it sounds like we only hire people named Miller, and it does come across as that. And then Wendy Batts just shows up and basically podcast host every other podcast. But then we switched it up and we have the Better Than Fine podcast with Coach Darlene Marshall. We have the Peak Physique podcast with Andre Adams and the Mindful Drinking podcast with Derek Brown. And so I am grateful to have been the first and got the ball rolling with NASM that has really led to all of these other means of education, free education offered out to all of you that listen, that NASM said, let's put content out there for free. We're going to make you pay for stuff. If you want to be a CPT, you want to do the CES and the PES and the wellness coaching, yeah, you got to pay for it. But here are 6 shows that come out pretty much every week. This one twice a week. Hello. For free. For free. Providing content for you to listen, for you to learn, for you to grow and refine what it is that you do as a certified personal trainer. And so, huge shout out to the National Academy of Sports Medicine. Thanks for having me. I not only have worked as a podcaster for NASM since 2019, I started working at NASM in 2006. So we might be coming up with 6 years of the NASM CPT podcast, but I'm coming up on 20 years as an educator with NASM, the National Academy of Sports Medicine. And I'm grateful. I'm grateful to everybody. I'm grateful to all of you. And as I sign off today, I want to say thank you to all of you that watch and that listen and that like and follow and subscribe and comment on the podcast and on our YouTube channels. And if you want to, you feel comfortable, hit me up. You can do so on Instagram at dr.rickrichey or email me rick.richey@nasm.org. Keep inspiring people to fitness. This has been the 500th episode of the NASM CPT podcast.